how do you choose what the next 10 records, next 10 songs on the next Jim Moray album are going to be?
I don't know. But the flippant answer is I don't choose them. They kind of choose me. But that's a bit. I guess that I don't really go looking for songs anymore unless I really need to. I've got a bit of a backlog of songs that I want to do at some point that I'm gradually working through, and at the same time you're adding things. So I think I don't generally go looking for songs because if you do that you're likely to find stuff that you're doing because you found it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Rather than stuff that I hear and I know I can do, or find, or come across and then know I can do something with.
Mm.
If you go looking for songs, you've generally got a deadline or stuff, and I'm not very good at that anyway. I'm not very good at. I don't know. Sorry, this all sounds a bit woolly, but it's because in general there aren't really any answers. I mean, people occasionally I get emails saying, "Can you give me some advice on how to make a record?" And the answer is no, not really, because I don't know it.
You know how to make your
the
record,
art of doing it is the art of having a good instinct, and that's kind of what that's kind of what comes with experience and learning.
Hmm. Do you know what's going to be on there now?
I do. Well, I don't know for definite. I know what I'm working with, but it could take all kinds of turns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of more of the same. The songs that appeal to me are, I don't really like. When me and Jackie were younger, and by younger I mean 4 or 5, that being in a kind of proper children way, there were kind of certain words that we couldn't say, and I always used to refer to it as rumpeter music.
Right. Kind
of, which is that kind of bouncy melodian-y, and I don't really identify with that very much. So certainly not as, not at the age of 28 or whatever. While I enjoy listening to it, it's not music I would want to make. Right. So I don't really do that kind of bouncy thing, which I think the first couple of records I made, the common criticism was there wasn't any light and shade, which is completely true. There wasn't, So, I'm certainly not going to do a party music record. But at the same time, I kind of like things that have a bit of a, this is all, I guess, this could be an answer from anybody really, but I like things that have got a bit of a story to them. Things that I can put myself into. But I don't think this is anything out of the ordinary. If you asked Bella or John Bowden or Jackie or Judy Fowlis or anybody, they'd say exactly the same thing, I'm sure.
So it's Wild Boar scheduled to appear?
No, Wild Boar is going to be on a record, but it's not going to be this one. There's another record that we're going to start making in about a month's time.
Who's we?
Well, we'll see. We is me, Nick Cooke, and James Delarre.
Right.
Potentially, we're going to make a trio record, but I might get in trouble because we're gonna meet up and do some recording because Nick has kind of left my band at this point.
Right.
Saul Rose is playing in my band instead of Nick now. But that said, I really like working with Nick, and I kind of, when we play together, there's something different from any other set of musicians I played with, and if any of the three of us aren't there, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I've been working with Nick Wyke on fiddle instead of Jamie recently as well because Jamie's so busy with Morgan Causey, and I love working with Saul, love working with Nick Wyke, and it's fantastic, but it's not the same without the three of us there.
Yeah.
While it was, as long as there was the three of us there, it was fine to have William playing drums or Dave playing drums or various other people. But I think there's something about, we're about the same age, we've got the same kind of set of influences, and there's just, I always heard other people talking about that kind of band thing, and I've never had that. I've always been on my own, or certainly not while I've been doing this. It's the thing that I miss was that thing of being a teenager and being in a band and having a gang, and I didn't have it till I started working with Nick and Jamie and we bedded in. And there's a lot of history there now, and there's a lot of, we've adapted to each other's style of playing, so it's a good fit. And I think one of the things, again, that's probably quite trying to work with me is I'm not very good at articulating stuff. and I kind of expect my musicians quite often to just know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, and if they're not doing the right thing, I'll very rarely say, you know, stop doing that. I'll just express my displeasure in some other way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure I'm probably quite tricky to work with for people. But that said, we've evolved a kind of thing where we don't need to talk about it anymore. You know, me and Nick and Jamie don't need to actually talk about how it's going to go. We can just start playing and find that thing. So I would very, very much like to do a record with them, and I'd very much like it to not be my record. I'd like it to be our record.
Do you end up recording a lot more than ends up on each record?
I do, but again, people ask, you know, are you ever going to put out a CD of outtakes? And the thing is, I don't really have outtakes. I don't really do outtakes. I'll sit with a guitar and try different things and play them until it's right, and then I'll record it. You know, I don't have alternate versions of songs generally. I have one version of songs that you're kind of gradually feeling your way forwards, and then that you take the whole lot forward with you.
At which point, making the record, do you know what it's going to look like? When you...
Well, the funny thing is, obviously I can't divorce myself from the making of the record. So to me, the record doesn't look necessarily the way it looks to other people. You know, because the look of it in my mind's eye is associated with other things other than just the artwork or the cover or how we look when we're standing on stage playing those songs. Just as, you know, just the time period is kind of skewed because I spent 2 years before it was released making Low Culture. So Low Culture for me represents kind of 2006, 2007. You know,
and the people who saw you this summer think that's, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's what last thing they saw.
That's yeah. And so, you know, so while it was new to them in 2008, you know, to me it was the end of a journey for that one. I tend to feel music and understand music on quite an abstract level to some people. So I used to have incredible difficulties kind of articulate. In fact, that's kind of why I did Sweet England myself, because I found it really difficult to articulate what I wanted to other people in terms they could understand. And it's almost is it synesthetic thing? Though, you know, though I don't have, you know, I don't see colours when I hear music or anything, not in that kind of terms, but certainly. But you know, I do identify with music in those kind of. It's all encompassing. That there are, you know, that sometimes things just sound, you know, cardboard as opposed to concrete to me, and I just can't put it in any better way. You know, I tend to cross-reference those things quite a lot, which for people who work with me can be a bit of a trial, I think. But you know, going back to your original question, that kind of terms, I know the look of the record to me from very early on, because it feels a certain way, and that feeling is associated with the kind of things that look a certain way and things that sound a certain way, and it kind of comes out in, you know, it's probably a bit more of a poppy indie concept, but you know, with certain music, it also makes you want to kind of dress a certain way, and arrange your life in a certain way, you know. Like, you know, music makes you want to wear a certain type of shoes, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, completely. I see far too many CDs which are 5 people on a hillside looking miserable. So it's really good to have like that sort of encompassing image to a project. I
mean, for the first 2 records I worked with David Newton and David Angel, and David Angel has gone on to do a lot of people's CD covers. But to a certain extent, I think, because the Sweet England cover was, you know, lying down in the woods, and was really good. But there's a lot of kind of people lying down in the woods now, and I wouldn't say it was down to me. This is definitely David's, you know, the effect of David's artwork.